Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 263 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on June 17th, 2025. Man, I hope we're all doing well on this fine summer day. I'm doing well. Boy, do we have an episode for you. First up, we'll be finishing up our quick 22 rimfire palette cleanser after the last Mark 18 publication. I know a lot of you like that. We'll do the technical report discussion for the PWS BDE 22 silencer. That report was published last week, so hopefully you've all had a chance to dig into that. It's an interesting silencer, so we'll go over that today. And next up, boy howdy, some new for you. Yeah, in multiple ways, actually. So semi-automatic 300 blackout testing is here. Is it long awaited? Yeah, it is. Was it worth the wait? I think so. I think it is. I think we did it right. So to kick things off, we have a new silencer system to examine with that, the Cat Rat. Yeah, fully modular silencer system, 3 modules actually, and the system is available in 3 different retail packages for you. We're going to go through that together, and 3 configurations of that system were tested on the 6.75-inch SIG MCX. Yeah, some of you cloners out there may know that platform as the US SOCOM LVAW, the low visibility assault weapon. Yeah, so this test host that we used is basically as close as you're going to get to that LVAW as a civilian. So here we are. Okay, so let's see how cool the cool guy gun can be. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time, I think. I got a kick out of this. So yeah, buckle up, folks. We're going to do the intro talk to the Cat Rat and the SIG MCX article today, and we'll go deep dive on those 2 things next episode per typical. Okay, so let's get on with the show. Just to tell you, if you've been here before, welcome back. So glad to have you. Thanks for coming. We're going to talk about silencers, which is the coolest thing ever. If you are new to the podcast, boy oh boy, welcome. We're glad to have you. Strap in. You're going to be here a minute. And just so you know, no matter where you're listening, if it's YouTube or Spotify or wherever, there are timestamps in the episode description of every single episode. And you can skip to wherever you would like, okay? I'm going to put some extra ones probably in this episode today to split some things up just so folks can reference it. I like to do that sometimes when things get long. I have a feeling I'm going to be talking about a bunch of different things today. They're going to need that, okay? Anyway, use the timestamps if you don't like to hear ads, because I'm about to read some. Why? Well, because we're on the 263rd episode, and for some reason, I keep doing this even like an insane person, and these people help me with that. That's right, with drugs. Speaking of, this podcast is brought to you by Legion Athletics. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, really anything is worth doing without consistency. You have to do things all the time if you want to be good at them. Yeah, whether that's insane silencer engineering analysis or powerlifting, you got to do things all the time if you want to excel. Legion Athletics can help you with that. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, vitamins, minerals, creatine. Man, they don't have everything you need, but they have a lot of it. Go to legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. There's a link on the website. Okay? The code word PewScience. You get buy one, get one, 50% off your entire shopping cart with that code. And you get 20% off cash back every time you use the code. It's crazy, dude. It's awesome. Get strong. It's important. This podcast is also brought to you by the fine folks at Silencer Shop. Yeah, they've done a lot for consumers. They've done a lot for the industry. They've done a lot for dealers, large and small, nationwide. If you are a new dealer looking to get started in the space and you can't hold a lot of inventory, maybe you want low overhead, maybe you just want a cool kiosk where your customers can do their fingerprints and photos electronically, Silencer Shop might be for you. Yeah. Did you know you can cut down on errors, simplify your silencer purchasing process, and your customers get a money-back guarantee? That's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly, silencer ownership simplified. Speaking of people who sell silencers, Top Gun Range is another one of those, and they support this podcast. Shout out to Kyle and his gang. They're awesome. And they're literally a gang. They run a gang in Houston. H-Town? No. If you're in the Houston area, please don't call the police. Even if you're just passing through, it's worth going to Top Gun Range. In addition to having a 15-lane indoor shooting range, they have the largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas, which is nuts. You can rent pistols, rifles, shotguns, machine guns, and you can even rent silencers. Who does that? Top Gun Range. That's who. Check out the rental inventory at topgunrange.com and bother Kyle on Instagram where he makes memes at Top Gun Range. This podcast is also brought to you by Capital Armory. Did you know that? You should. It's no secret that silencers are in high demand right now, and that demand is going to skyrocket most likely. At least at the current time, approval times are quick. I don't know. They're pretty quick. Quicker than they have been. They might be even quicker soon. So, there's a lot of demand. You need options to get your products. I am telling you, when I say you need options, listen to me. Okay? Capital Armory is here to help you with that. They have a unique twist. They have a large selection. They help you with the paperwork, all that stuff that all the good dealers do. But also, if you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, you can order a silencer in your living room and have that shipped directly to that same living room, which is pretty cool for folks who work nights, for folks who don't have time to go to gun stores like me. Like, I don't have time to go to a gun store. Are you crazy? I'm sitting here doing a podcast, dude. It's like the middle of the week. But it really is that easy. Capital Armory, silencer shipped directly to your door. And probably most importantly of all, this podcast is brought to you by the Pew Science Laboratory. I am the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, the lab sponsors this podcast, and we continue to run a public research effort which pushes the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You can visit pewscience.com, which is our website, for the suppression rating. Yep, it's the simplest, most accurate hearing-safe rating for suppressed small arms, and it's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot, and that's not all. We actually measure everything, from before the combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone and all the mechanical operation of the weapon system has ceased. You ever shot a gun and heard all the different sounds? Yeah, Pew Science looks at all of it. Why, you may ask? Well, that's the only way to do it correctly. Because Pew Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. 7 sections, the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire universe. And it's all available to you, the public, 24/7 at pewscience.com. And you can support this podcast. You can support our lab. You can support the public testing we do by doing us a solid and joining with a membership at the website. It's cool, man. You get benefits like helping us. You get more data and analysis in every report. You get special member research supplements. You get cool discount codes and stuff in the member deal section now. It's pretty neat, man. We'll be adding more benefits for you all the time. We just want to thank you, okay? And you know what? If you don't want to pay anything, which is cool, you don't have to pay anything, dude. It's fine. Something that's free and doesn't cost you anything, just go on your favorite podcast provider or wherever you're listening to this right now. If it's YouTube, give a like and subscribe, a thumbs up. Be like, what's up? I'm like, what's up, dude? Spotify, 5-star, all that good stuff. Just spread the word. Just be like, man, there's this guy. He's running this lab. He's giving us good stuff. Check it out. And I'll be like, thank you. You're awesome. That's all. Okay. 2 topics for you today. The first one we're gonna hit is the Sound Signature Review 6190. It's that PWS BDE 22. Published it last week. We're gonna go through the technical discussion. Cool. All right. Sound good. Awesome. Topic 2. We're gonna go through the new semi-auto 300 blackout intro. We're gonna talk, Sound Signature Review 6191, which is gonna be live with this episode. We're gonna talk Combat Application Technologies Cat Rat on the 6.75 MCX. Okay. We're going to talk all that stuff, and it's going to be cool. All right. Topic 1 at a time of 9 minutes and 9 seconds. Boom. That is a good omen. What is up? Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6190, the Primary Weapon Systems PWS BDE 22 on the subcompact Beretta 21A, the Bobcat, as you know it. Yeah, we published this last week. Little rimfire palette cleanser for you. This is monocore, 3D printed, user serviceable, technical discussion. This lightweight silencer, we characterized it in last week's report. Did I not promise you a palette cleanser? Am I not kind? No, I'm in a funny mood today. I was at a test facility all day today. We had overseas clients, high stakes. I'm sure you know the Middle East is in turmoil right now, right? Well, when you work in the industry I work in and you do what I do, we have a lot of things to do when things are getting blown up. Anyway, palate cleanser for you. I'm just trying to get back to baseline here. Just give me a second, okay? It's the middle of the work week. Cut me some slack. You folks have been eating pretty good lately, right? I mean, let's be honest. We've published a ton of reports for you. Sometimes you got to slow it down a little bit. Try a little treat from the kitchen with a fresh glass of wine. Maybe you want to keep going after that, but you got to slow down a little bit. That's what we did here with this rimfire report. Okay, we got a client, PWS. They came to us like, hey, remember when we did this research? We think it'd be really cool to show people. I'm like, bet. And we did. Okay, that's kind of how this went. It's why you got it when you got it. I thought it fit in perfectly to the research sequence. I know a lot of people got a kick out of it. That's where we're coming from. Especially after that Q Southpaw stuff, frankly. It's good to get that stuff out of the way for all kinds of reasons. It's good to be able to put a bow on something. Frankly, with the Q Southpaw, we really tied a bow around that type of baffle design and its performance in different combustion regimes and the bore size. Gosh, we learned so much. I hope you did too. Okay. I would consider the Q rifle stuff, the Q rifle silencer stuff done for right now. Okay, we learned a lot. We're happy we could put it to bed. Now, we want to look at something pleasant. Rimfire, and not just any rimfire. Little subcompact pistol rimfire. Yeah, one of the most difficult rimfire platforms to deal with. Suppressed. Yeah, there's some people who are like, what? Why are they testing on a rimfire pistol? Why don't they do it on a bolt-action rifle? Well, because we already understand that, guys. Okay? If you're complaining very vocally about that, it is your right. I appreciate your opinion. But also, we have a complete compendium of reasons why we've done this, and we talked about it ad nauseum, so please catch up. So we introduced the PWS BDE 22 last time. You're now all familiar with it. If you missed it, please just go back to the previous episode and hit the intro topic, for the PWS silencer to get up to speed. We don't have to repeat that now, okay? So right now you can pull up report 6190 on the website. That was published June 11th, Wednesday of last week. Lightweight 22 silencer, 4.2 ounces, but not really super compact. I think we would consider this full size, right? It's 5 5/8 inches long, right? So yeah, let's call it what it is, a full size 22 silencer. Now, the fact it's only 4.2 ounces certainly changes the equation for a lot of people, I think. Remember, this is a 3D printed monocore in a standard titanium tube, and the core has traditional flat and truncated cone baffles. Yeah, it just has a lot of them because they could afford to cram as many as they could into the 5 5/8 inch length. Why? 3D printing allowed them to use less material to connect each baffle, and that resulted in weight savings. And when you get weight savings at every baffle interface throughout the entire core and the silencer's that long, it adds up. Incremental change. Yeah, very good. It's like when you go backpacking and you're like, well, ounces is pounds in the night. That's true. But also, people, they make fun of people. It used to be when I was really young and I would go backpacking, titanium spoons were and forks, or titanium sporks were a new thing. People are like, dude, check this out. I got this titanium spork. And people are like, dude, you're crazy. But back then, we were just making the transition from frame packs to external frame packs to internal frame. If you had, no one had internal frame packs. But you finally, every little bit, right? At the end of your trek, you'd appreciate shaving off ounces of stuff because it all adds up, right? Especially as you get to drink your water over the trip. That is always great when you come back with less stuff than you set out to. But same principle with silencer design. When it comes to weight savings, and remember, guys, we've talked about weight savings many times on this podcast and what that means in practicality in your weapon systems. When you have weight hanging off the end of your gun, it creates a moment arm, right? That barrel length. And the heavier it is, yeah, weight can matter more depending on the type of weapon system. And on rimfire, man, some of your systems are pretty light, so if you hang something super heavy off the end, it can really affect the handling. And that can interrupt your shooting experience, whether you're an experienced shooter, whether you're using it for work and trying to kill something, or even if you're teaching your child or your significant other how to shoot. And suppressed rimfire is a really easy gateway into that because it's very, unobtrusive and doesn't scare you. There's no recoil and it's very quiet. So you know what I mean? That's what we talk about that. I like to call it, like when we talk about serviceability, I like to talk about that. Now, serviceability in the context of silencers has a different connotation, but anyway. Let's go ahead and look at how the silencer performs, the BDE 22. Bottom line up front in the article, please pull it up. If you're not a PewScience member, pull up the free version. If you're a PewScience member, always pull up the member version. You have more data and no ads in the dang report body. Come on, man. Bottom line up front, 83.4 suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field, which is, of course, the mil standard measurement location. And that's what the mil standard dictates. You can't claim mil standard testing unless it's in the free field. Did you know that? It's true. It's written down. Also, per the mil standard, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear, the suppression rating is 72.6. That brings us to a composite suppression rating of 83.9 on the 2.4-inch barrel subcompact semi-automatic Beretta 21A Bobcat rimfire pistol. That's with CCI standard velocity 40 grain 22 ammunition, which of course should be subsonic in almost all of your barrels at reasonable common temperatures. If you're having a problem with that, reach out to us. You might be having an issue. You might need to move. Now, where are we playing today? Where are we playing? Well, where on the suppression rating scale are we playing in this report, this PWS report? Well, we're playing up in the 70 and 80 zones, aren't we? For folks adjacent to the weapon system, they're up in the 80 zone. Wow. For folks firing the weapon, they're up in the 70 zone. Still pretty high. Where are we? If you look at the suppression rating graphic on the website, it's in every article. We're in the high volume fire zone, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. Take a look at the suppression rating graphic in the report. We're cooking with grease here. Yeah, you can blast away. You can do a lot of blasting, and you're not going to wake the dead. And if you forgot your hearing protection at home, that's okay. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And that's what you can see when you see these suppression ratings, right? It's here to help you. So let's look at what the silencer's doing to the blast loads, because that's what we do at PewScience. Everyone talks about sound this and sound that. Yeah, I know it's in the name, but what are we really doing? We're looking at blast load protection. How? Blast load suppression. That's right. That's what we characterize in every report. Okay, scroll down to figure 1. You got figure 1A and figure 1B per typical. Well, what's the first thing you think when you see figure 1A there? Well, for me, it's like, well, it looks like all those baffles are pretty effective. All the large quantity there in that silencer. You got full time regime blast load signature in the free field in figure 1A. Boy, are things quiet, as we would expect. We would expect that with this type of baffle stack. We would. You get some FRP divergence, you do, and you can see that start to show up in the pressure space pretty early. And if you zoom in to early time in figure 1B, which is why that's there, you can see that. Now, to get a really good look at this phenomenon, and to really understand the behavior, what we can do is we can take a look at blast momentum transfer potential, which is another way to say blast impulse in figure 2. Scroll a little bit more down. Yeah. Now you can see momentum, how it builds, and what happens in the first shot compared to the subsequent shots. And here we have something quite interesting, actually. It is FRP divergence, yes, but it's not the type you always see. Yeah. It runs away pretty early, which is not good. But it doesn't ever get higher than the amplitudes of the other shots until the absolute tippy-top maximum. And there, it's already caught up to the rest of the string. You see what I'm talking about? You'll know what I'm talking about when you look at the picture, okay? So what you're looking at physically in these waveforms is a conventional brute force baffle design almost quenching FRP just with the sheer baffle numbers it has. That's what you're seeing. The FRP develops, it propagates, but there are so many dang baffles that it almost gets quenched before it's over. There's so many dang baffles. And if you are a bystander and hear someone shooting this PWS BDE 22, you will, in fact, not notice a lot of FRP severity. Yeah. And for you Pew Science members out there, I don't know if you've seen this, but in the full member version of the report, you're going to see that the shooter basically doesn't even get FRP, right? When you look at, I have the full member version of the report open, and when I'm looking at those impulse waveforms at the shooter's ear, oh, it's a different story. Yeah. So what does that mean, guys and girls? It seems that claims from users and consumers that have been shooting this silencer, those claims that we've been hearing, I think there's some truth to them. Folks have been commenting that this silencer is being slept on, that people are overlooking it, that it's quieter than a lot of other silencers they've used, like famous silencers they've used. And I think, according to our testing and analysis documented in this report, that adds up, dude. Like, this is one of those cases. Like, I'm telling you, it's cool when user experience is backed up by real data and analysis. Obviously, that's awesome. We love when that happens. That should make folks feel good. Another thing that's interesting, sometimes rumors are right. Not all the time. Obviously, you got to be very careful what you read on the internet, obviously. But when they are right and we can back them up, that's cool. I love that. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of stuff like the Surefire rifle silencer stuff. Like the amount of Surefire research we've published and how it agrees with everyone's experience and that like has gone over decades and no one talked about it until we did it. That's the type of thing that makes me so happy. So when this PWS thing happened and we see people also being like, yeah, dude, it's quiet as hell. And like no one was talking about this silencer, like, you know, with authority, right? But like every once in a while you see someone be like, man, this BDE 22, and you don't know if like, are they selling it? Is it like a dealer pretending to be a consumer on Reddit or something, which happens like all the time. Like dealers and manufacturers, they have these fake accounts, right? It's called astroturfing. They go on the internet, they pretend they're a consumer, they talk about stuff, whatever. It's gross, but they do it. And so you never know. You never know. Like, are these people like legit, whatever? Turns out in this case, they were legit. That's crazy. All right, 1 second. And silencer's not even that complicated either, which is like, I love that. I get a kick out of that. I get a kick out of when stuff's complicated and it does cool stuff. I also get a kick out of when engineering works and stuff's not complicated and it works. And I'm like, I love both sides of it. Because why? Because I'm basically a lifetime research engineer. You know, I work in applied research my whole entire career. Well, except for when I did really bad things for the government. Other than that, I've been doing mostly good. So if you folks have been following the rimfire research, like in the pedigree, on this little pistol, on this Beretta pistol, which is a high pressure host and surprisingly difficult to suppress, you're gonna remember the Otter Creek Labs titanium, right? Yeah. That silencer does pretty well, I think. We think. You think. Everyone who shot it knows that because that's what the data shows. If you remember correctly, the Otter Creek Labs titanium was designed by Otter Creek for pistols. And what do I mean by that? Well, all the testing they did and development they did was on pistols. They didn't even use a rifle because they know what's up, because they make silencers and they understand the challenge is on pistols. And what did you see in our test report for the Otter Creek Labs titanium? Well, you saw the benefit of what they did. Okay, and if you need to remind yourself, that was report 6150 back in April of last year. So it's about a year ago. It seemed like just yesterday we published research on that, but it's been about a year. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because the performance of the Otter Creek Labs titanium and the performance of this PWS BDE 22 are pretty dang similar. And that should be a really good peg point for a lot of you, because I know how many people are buying these Otter Creek Labs silencers. So if those are in the wild, well, now you know how this stacks up, good or bad, better or worse. Understand? That's what's great about the suppression rating. It's like actually a reference, right? That you can actually use. I would say if you compare the two, which you can, obviously, there's all the data there for you. The PWS, it probably has a little better FRP suppression than the Otter Creek. And I also think the silencers are almost exactly the same weight, which is important to know. And I'm pretty sure the Otter Creek Lab silencer is shorter though. So when you end up comparing things like this, all of that information might help you make decisions, right? I mean, I don't know. You could buy both of them. You could buy none of them. I don't care. The interesting part of this is that both of those silencers use conventional baffles, which is something to keep in mind. You know, suppressing 22 rimfire does not have to be complicated. Now, obviously, I'm just repeating what I said earlier in a little bit different way. 22 can be great, and you don't have to go ham. Okay, the reason we included rimfire silencers like at all in the first couple of reports of the silencer sound standard in 2020 when we launched it publicly, you saw it in the firearm blog and everything, like we literally like just launched this and everyone was like, what is this? The reason why we started with 22 is because we wanted to characterize extremes. That's the only reason we started with the Rugged Oculus, which is my personal silencer. It's the most tested silencer by Pew Science, trust me, because I used it in the development of the whole entire thing. We wanted to show you subsonic 22, and then we wanted to show you supersonic 308. Those were the early days of the standard. Super low pressure, low combustion volume stuff, right? And then high pressure, high combustion volume stuff. Okay, what does the silencer sound standard say if you've actually read it? It says in the beginning of it, it talks about how you got 22 sub bolt gun and you got 308 super bolt gun, and these are two extremes, not necessarily like the full extremes, but regions of extremities that most folks are familiar with, because we want it to be relatable to you. And that's why we started with 22 and then we have 308 at the same time, very early, over 5 years ago. That's what we call bounding the problem. We wanted to bound the problem for you, like roughly. So since then, since that initial time when you ended up coming back to rimfire, which was due to demand, and frankly, it was not only consumer demand, a lot of industry demand too. It was not just consumers. When we came back to rimfire, we decided, you know what? Bolt gun, yeah, we've been doing it here and there. Let's just go high pressure rimfire. Let's go pistol. And our quest now at Pew Science, since you always have to have a quest, right? You always want a purpose for what you're doing. Our quest with this host, this little Beretta Bobcat, is to figure out what works. If you can make this little Beretta Bobcat quiet, like first shot to the last, if you can make the Bobcat quiet, chances are you're going to make a bunch of other things quiet too. Okay? We're today, we're going to get to the stuff that sucks on the Beretta. I promise we'll get to the stuff that sucks. But right now, remember, palate cleanser. Goosefraba. It's like that movie. Was it Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson? It's called, what's it called? Anger Management? I love that movie. It's so funny. Yeah, so just like kind of take a deep breath, right? This is just a palate cleanser and good things. We're talking about good things. Everyone should be happy. This is a happy episode. Don't we love happy episodes? I like them. I like them when everyone's happy and getting along and everything's great and things are performing well. And yeah, it's good. Positivity. Did you know if you make a smile yourself, you might even like improve your mood? Did you know that? Like if you're having a down day and you're sad, like if you force yourself to smile, it can actually elevate your mood emotionally. Isn't that crazy? Humans, man. So I think this is a positive outcome. Everyone should be happy about it. And every time we get high performance in a report, I think everyone should collectively cheer. I think you should cheer on the report. You should cheer on your buddies that love silencers. You should cheer for the company that did well. Who doesn't love when something they make does well? A lot, these companies work really hard on these silencers. So that's really great. And every time a silencer is quiet, a silencer angel gets its wings. Did you know that? It's true. And there's a corollary to that probably. Every time marketing is proven to be BS, a silencer angel also gets its wings. It's true. So a lot of wings in general are getting handed out in totality. We've done a lot of that. So, you look at this PWS, it's not all roses, okay? It's not a low back pressure system. Don't think it is, because it's not. But it works well enough on this host to really protect the operator, which is good. And to get a lot better than this, you're going to have to go advanced. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the reality. You're going to have to go high flow rate to get better than this. And how do you do that? Well, you got to go CAD SR. Yep. It is what it is, dude. Sorry. It's like, that's true. And I would just want to say to like new silencer people and like silencer designers out there, the CAD SR is not normal. So don't like freak out, but it's not. And, you got to ask yourself the question, well, does it even matter to you? I mean, it depends what you're chasing, dude. Like, you have to factor in budget. You have to factor in things like that. Not everyone needs crazy stuff. It's true, dude. Remember what I was saying about rimfire? It doesn't have to be so serious. Relax. But obviously, you don't want to like a lot of first round pop on a pistol. That's horrible. So, you know what I mean? Anyway, sorry, hit my microphone there. I would say, all in all, this PWS BDE 22, for me, like personally, when I look at like holistically through the research pedigree, the monocore design in it, the weight, for me, this report showed what a pretty simple monocore can do. And it showed how 3D printing can be used, not necessarily to, make it super advanced designs, stuff like that, but actually how 3D printing can be used to make a very classic design better. Why? Well, they can use conventional baffles in a way that saves weight. I mean, I know that sounds simple because it is, but using very modern manufacturing taking advantage of very modern manufacturing to do that, it's important. It's an important step for people. We've seen 3D printing evolve. We've seen it being used for years. I mean, 3D printing, let's be honest, 3D printing in silencers has been used well through the entire history of Pew Science. For those of you new to silencers, 3D printing is not new in silencers. It's been used for many, many, many years. And there were tons of companies who acted like it was stupid and are on record. There's internet. The internet never forgets. All these companies online have said, name them, dude. There's big ones that like to talk mess. There's several of the companies, they said 3D printing was dumb. They didn't need to do it. And then now they're all 3D printing. So, yeah. Internet never forgets, dude. I think it's a win when this stuff... again, it's not super advanced, but it doesn't have to be because of how they did it. And this place is a good example in the taxonomy for us to look at when we're examining how certain technologies behave. I found it particularly interesting that the shooter's ear suppression rating was about the same on this with this PWS as it was from the Otter Creek silencer. And then it was a little more consistent than the Otter Creek silencer, but it's longer than the Otter Creek silencer. It's one of those give and take things, dude. I think in scrolling down in the article, of course, there's the bar chart in figure 5? Yeah, figure 5 has a color bar chart with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rimfire configurations on this little pistol. We're starting to hit around mid to high 60s to mid 70s at the ear, and it really takes a lot to get into the 80 zone at the ear on this host. Okay. And so what I'm seeing here, I start to see patterns form. I like when we start to see those kind of, I wouldn't say thresholds, I would say some benchmarks, because what I see when I look at that bar chart in figure 5 is I see goals that folks can shoot to achieve, or goals that folks can shoot to reach and then to overcome. And that's how we grow, right? We grow in silencer design, we grow in our personal lives, we grow in our professional lives. You have to have goals. That's how you know you're making forward progress. You don't want to stagnate, you want to be awesome. Okay? That's my opinion on that. So big thanks to Primary Weapons Systems. Sometimes I forget the S on the end of weapons. I always want to say Primary Weapons Systems, but it's Primary Weapons Systems, PWS. Big thank you. No, big ups. Seriously. Thanks for trusting our laboratory to perform this work. It was a pleasure. So you saw the BDE 762 modular one. You saw the BDE 556 modular silencer a while back. You just saw this BDE 22. You're going to see more PWS stuff from PewScience, I promise. Okay? I mean, because it's been a couple years since you've seen PWS from us. So we were due. They're back with this one, and they're going to be more. Okay, so that concludes our palate cleanser. Our wonderful feast that you have been enjoying for the past few months. And now I think we should get into something ridiculous at a time of 35 minutes and 33 seconds. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? He's weird. No, Pink Floyd, man, come on. 1 second. Topic 2. Semi-automatic 300 blackout testing is here. Yeah, Sound Signature Review 6191. The Combat Application Technologies CAT-RAT on the 6.75-inch SIG Sauer MCX AR18. Yes, the Consumer Retail LVAW analog. The CAT-RAT is modular, but not how we typically see modular in the silencer world. And you're going to learn more about that. This is more than an end cap change. Today we're going to introduce both this new test host, the SIG test host, and we're going to introduce this new silencer system, which coincidentally just happens to be designed specifically for the SIG MCX and Rattler family. Yeah, those PDWs that SIG makes. Okay, so I started this intro to the topic at 35 minutes and 33 seconds, so we're going to go through this. I'm going to split the intro talk. Okay, I'm going to split this into multiple timestamps, this whole topic. That way folks can zone in on things. They can go back. They can reference things more easily. And usually I do that with technical talks only, but this intro is going to be more complicated because there's a new host and it's a whole thing. So consider this the introduction to this. So, okay, this has been, or should I say this research has been requested for 5 years. Semi-automatic subsonic 300 blackout. The SIG MCX is what we have chosen to use right now, and it's not just any MCX. No. It's the 6.75-inch barrel MCX, the one you, as a consumer, can buy, the thing that gets you as close as you can get without going to jail to a real low-visibility assault weapon, the LVAW. Are you a unit guy listening to this? Probably not. Do you want to use the gun? I mean, do you like shooting cool stuff? Do you like pretending you're G.I. Joe? I mean, yeah, you do. A lot of us do. So here we are, okay? No, I joke, but this weapon system is pretty interesting, and we're going to talk about why. There's a way, this is not the reason we're using it. It is actually, but not, it's not a joke. It's just, there's so many reasons, but I want to highlight to you what a lot of people know about it, so you can kind of get a flavor for what's happening to you here. There's a lot to tell you about in the report. It's a very, very, very long report. Okay, you've seen the Knights Armament reports from us. You've seen a lot when we go ham, when we have to. This is one of those going ham situations. As we go through this today, please keep in mind it's just the intro. It's long. You saw the Knights article with like 16 tests or whatever it was. It's like that. PewScience actually conducted an extremely large test program for the CAT-RAT with not only the SIG MCX, but with other things too. What you're getting today is what the silencer system is designed to do. Okay? This is one of those cases of system reporting. If there was ever an example of that, I know there's been a few, but if there was ever an example, it's this. Okay? So today you're getting 3 public tests of this system. I will explain. I'm going to write this down. So I'm going to do the SIG MCX intro at a time of 39 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay. Before we get into the silencer, I need to tell you about the SIG MCX. This is the first time that this test host has ever been evaluated like this publicly. Okay? Nobody has shown you MCX or Rattler data like this. I don't care who it is. Trust me. I've looked at it all. I've all of it. Anywhere in the world. This is the only place that you're going to get data like this. And nobody has shown you engineering analysis of the data. So that's what you're getting to. Some folks on the military side of SIG knew that we were doing this, but that's only because they're my buddies and I told them we were using the gun. That's it. SIG did not know when we were publishing this, why we were publishing this, or what we were going to publish. They have no idea what the silencer none of that, of course. Okay, this host weapon was purchased by our laboratory several years ago, retail, okay, at full price. I am just telling you this because I know how many people are going to listen to this, and I want to put the weird conspiracy theory people at ease because they're weird and they say weird stuff. This is literally a Pew Science gun, as literally all of the test hosts are owned by our lab, unless one of our clients needs something super special tested and we don't have a gun to do it with, in which case they will, of course, send the firearm as a test specimen, literally like any test lab in the entire world works. Okay, guys, okay, it's like always now until the end of time. That's how the world works. So just to let you, some people get like super weird conspiracy theories about like what the guns we use for testing. It's like, no, dude, we own, we buy them so we can test standard hosts. It's weird. It just so happens that we had this gun in our inventory, literally. So this program just worked out perfectly in that way. We thought to ourselves, what better way to kick off the research? We have the gun. Now, the SIG MCX is not an AR-15. It is, in fact, an AR-18. That's right. Not only is it piston-driven, it has a recoil system that is completely contained in the upper receiver. Okay? The SIG, let me repeat that for those in the back. The SIG MCX is not an AR-15. It is an evolution of the AR-18, is an AR-18 derivative. You guys can read about the history of the AR-18 platform if you like. There's tons of data on it. This report that we're publishing today with this podcast, it actually gives you some technical details about that you need to understand. SIG built the MCX as an AR-18 derivative. Did they do that to try to be cool? I mean, partly, yeah. But one of the main reasons they did it was because the AR-18 is pretty awesome. And you're going to see why. Yeah. And so there are going to be a lot of questions from people with regard to, I can hear it now. It will not surprise me. People are going to say, well, why did we use the MCX for this? And why not use an AR-15 300 blackout system like the Honey Badger? Or why not test with a 5.8 342-inch barrel like you built in your garage with your special gas port size and adjustable gas block and special dupe carrier and buffer weight? And, why didn't you use my gun? I want to say that we are not ruling out using other hosts for semi-automatic 300 blackout. Okay, we're not ruling it out. We are always open to using other hosts. But let me give you just a few quick reasons for the SIG MCX, and in particular, this particular version of the MCX. Okay, I just want to hear me out. First one, this particular 300 blackout weapon system is fielded in over 35 countries. Okay. It is actually used for work, okay? People who use their guns for work, who use this gun, it wins contracts, a lot of contracts. It has a lot of rounds through it in testing, a lot, like a lot. It's a common gun. It works, okay? First reason. This is objective fact. This is not opinion. That's like objective fact. Second fact. This barrel length matches a very distinct military configuration, as I spoke about earlier. Are you a cloner? If yes, great. More power to you. You'll like this. If you're not a cloner, that's cool. You're still going to like it. So it doesn't matter. we get to understand 300 blackout combustion in a barrel shorter than our 8-inch bolt gun testing. And we get to combine that with semi-automatic learning too. And we see that as a win-win. Okay? Yeah. For this particular report, here's another reason. For this particular report, and at this time chronologically in the Silencer Sound Standard, this host weapon simply met one of our client requirements. Okay? I'm just telling you. Combat Application Technologies, which is a Pew Science Lab client, they make things for consumers. Yes, because some of you have bought their silencers, so you know that. You can buy them, yeah. The R&D folks behind what you get from CAT also make things for people. They make things for people who use the guns for work. So this Pew Science test host was used to evaluate systems from the folks making these things, because the end users on the military side find this type of information applicable. Okay? And let me be more specific now. Keeping in mind, this is not the technical talk yet, which will occur next episode, but I have to be a little more specific. The fourth reason why the MCX is being chosen is a combination of all the other reasons with nuance here. When you suppress the MCX, it can work. Okay? Somewhere along the way, high flow rate and low back pressure silencers started to get popular. Okay, whether that's a flow through or a forward flux or a surge bypass or a total signature reduction technology RC3, whatever you want to call a hybrid design, whatever you want to call a lot of these things with high flow rate and low back pressure and early time or late time, somewhere along the way, they started to get popular. Yes? Okay. Where do you think low back pressure as a silencer trait is being pushed? Where? Is it only in consumer hands? Not exactly. No. The SIG MCX, when you use certain silencers on it, will malfunction. This can happen with certain ammunition types that certain military units use. It can happen with certain ammunition types that you use at home. And it can happen with various silencers that you may use at home or that the military uses. And it can happen with silencers that only the military uses and you've never seen. The CAT-RAT system is intended to solve these problems, okay? Not my words. CAT's words. They're our client. They made the system, okay? That's what they said. And the reason they did it was not only to fix problems, but to do so in a pretty comprehensive way. And so the SIG MCX and the Rattler system are integral to this test program. And they are integral to the CAT-RAT program. Okay, so here we are. Does this make sense? Okay, so the report that you're getting today, it goes into a lot of detail. You should know that the gun we used is not the latest gen gun. Okay, I'm not going to hide that from you. It's not the latest gen gun. The latest gen gun is the 6.75 inch Rattler LT, as SIG currently calls it. Is that gun the same as the 6.75 inch Virtus gun that we have and that we used? Not exactly. Does that make a difference for the test results? We're going to find out, because Pew Science also bought a Rattler LT from SIG to investigate that. We did. We bought one. And yes, we buy our test hosts. Sorry, conspiracy theory guys. The truth is often much more boring than the fiction that you have. Yes, we buy them. So we'll see. I don't know. I've spoken with SIG about it, and I have a feeling there might be a difference, but not going to know until we examine it. Now, there's a lot to learn about the MCX system. If you're not familiar with it, you're going to have to get up to speed. But you're in luck. All of that is in the article. That's right. The report has everything you need, dude. This report covers the MCX in a lot of detail. There's even information on the Pew Science Small Arms technical data page for it. That's right. If you go to services and support on the menu on the website, you find that page, and there is MCX technical data on there, and it's referenced in the article too. Don't worry, you're not going to forget. It's there. You will find it. If you thought you knew how the 300 blackout MCX gas system worked, you might be surprised. And you might be surprised at some of the technical details we are providing to you. I urge you to read the report. You're going to need to buckle up. It's long, dude. The technical discussion next week, it's going to be very important for a lot of you, okay? We're going to go ham. We've got to go in depth. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint. Before you look at the MCX info, if you think gas port size is the only thing that controls the gun's function, you need to read our technical data page again, and then you need to reread it, and then maybe read it a third time. Okay? I don't want you guys to start drilling holes in stuff. I always use a bad word. Okay? Just relax, take a deep breath, understand things. Don't make rash decisions before understanding things. Cool? Okay. Now, let's talk about the silencer. Or silencers, actually, as it were. This is both simple and complicated. So I'm doing this in order for you. Let's see. Okay, so a cat. I'm writing it down. Hold on. Cat, rat, intro at a time of 51 minutes and 33 seconds. Okay, one moment. Okay, cat, rat. Yeah, I wrote this down here. So, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay. Cat, rat. Short for rattler. As you can imagine, right? Cryptic, right? No. It's intended for the entire family of 300 blackout MCX variants. Yes. That includes 5.5-inch barrel, 6.75-inch barrel, probably some 7-something-inch barrel that I'm told exists. Now, also the 9-inch barrel stuff, which is not nearly as difficult to mess with. So, go nuts, dude. You got a 300 blackout MCX, the cat rat works. I think really the most difficult guns in the family to get to run correctly are going to be the 5.5-inch guns and the 6.75-inch guns, as you can imagine. If you understand gas-operated weapons with short barrel lengths using subsonic 300 blackout, a low-pressure, low-combustion volume cartridge, basically a pistol cartridge. If you know how that works, you can imagine how the 5.5-inch and 6.75-inch systems were giving people problems. The cat rat tackles this. Okay, and it doesn't just work, dude. It works in all kinds of different ways, which is nuts. And that's the whole point. So the rat system's modular, and it's not modular like a rugged Surge, and it's not modular like a Helios QD or like a OCL Infinity that has the changeable end caps. It's not like that, dude. It's complete system modularity. So it literally consists of 3 separate modules. You got the rat base. It's a base module. It's very short. It's very light. Very small. You put it on the gun. You do your vehicle work. You don't blow your sinuses out from confined space, blast overpressure. You fit it in the glove box of the car. You know the drill, dude. Tiny bag gun. Tiny vehicle gun. You get it. You know what it's for, right? You know how they use these things. The people that use them for work. Cool. What's next? Then you got the rat covert. You take the covert module, you take it out of your pouch, whatever it is, you screw it onto the end of the base module. That's already on the gun. Now you're ready to kill things quietly and kill things discreetly, and you mask your position. That's right. And why would you want to do that? Well, that's what silencers are for. They increase system lethality by allowing the weapon operator to mask position. Kill more, die less. Silencers. Right? That should be the tagline. Okay. But what's that you say? You want to shoot a bunch and you want to reduce gas blowback during your training sessions, and maybe you still want to protect yourself when you're shooting from blast hazard? That's the rat flow. You When you screw the flow module onto the base instead of the covert module, you end up with close to the same free field blast protection for the operator as the covert module has, but you don't got to worry about getting gassed out with rapid fire. That can be good. Yeah. So those are the 3 rat configurations: the base, the covert, and the flow. And the really wild thing, and I think the thing they got right, and the whole point of the program, is that the weapon system works with all 3 configurations, and you don't need to change your gas valve for each one, right? You don't need to do a rain dance, you don't need special ammo, and you don't need to send your gun back to SIG, right? If you are using subsonic ammo and you put the gun on plus, it works. If you're using the supersonic ammo and you put the gun on minus, it works. That's it, dude. Like, that's what you should have to do. Like, that's it. Now, there's a caveat to that, and again, you can read this in the report. Obviously, it's in the report. Everything's in the report. And anyone who has a 300 Blackout MCX should know this. The updated gas valve for the 6.75-inch 300 Blackout MCX is the FO3 valve, which is specifically made by SIG for modern high flow rate silencers that have high flow rate in early time, late time, or both. When we bought our SIG MCX a few years ago, the FO3 valve was included and installed in our factory SBR that we bought retail. It was in the gun, dude. The FO1 valve, the previous one that SIG had used for the old generation high back pressure silencers. Remember when like Brittingham worked at SIG and they were doing the silencers that had high back pressure? Yeah, that was what the FO1 valve was for. Okay? That actually also came with our gun in the retail package. It was just in a little plastic bag. And I didn't know like what each valve was for at the time when I bought it. And I talked to my friend at the SIG military division, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, dude, FO1 is for like the old school high back pressure silencers. FO3 is for all the other stuff." I was like, "Oh, thanks, bro." And that was like several years ago. Before we even used it as a test, I was like, "Oh, thanks," because I didn't know anything about the MCX. I just bought it because like it was like super cool looking. I thought, yeah. So, but you guys know. So if you're buying a 6.75-inch system now in 2025, you shouldn't have a fear, because you should probably have the SIG probably put the right valve in there for you. Now, you guys know how much problems you've seen. Like, you can just go on the internet, dude, and do a search, and like people are losing their minds trying to suppress the short barrel 300 Blackout SIG guns because no one's making silencers that work correctly with everything. They're like, "Oh, well, if I use this ammo and I stand on my head and I count to 3 backwards 4 times and say Candyman in the mirror, my gun might work." Oh, well, that sucks, dude. So don't do that. Okay, again, that's why the cat made the rat. So there are tons of technical details as to why this rat system works, right? There's tons of technical details about how it works, what you should know about it working, all that stuff. We can save all those technical details for the technical talk next episode. It's all in the report. But I'm just telling you, we're already almost an hour in, so I'm not going to go through that today with you. I want to give you some high points, though, because this is like just to get your noggin working, your brain juice flowing. Right off the bat, the rat does use one of the new CAT Skynet technologies. And you already know about CAT Skynet technologies if you looked at our reports, because you've seen the surge bypass, the diverge, all that stuff. All CAT Skynet design vectors. We already talked about them. They're all summarized on the website if you need to check them out. The new tech from that group of technologies they're using in this silencer system is called A-Pulse. Okay? It's a combination of SB Shock, you saw that in SC, and Sniper 2 that you saw in JL. Okay, so they took SB Shock, they took Sniper 2, they took some elements of both. They adapted it specifically for the rat system and what the rat had to do. And it's called A-Pulse. It's called A-Pulse for a specific reason, actually. Just go read it. The report has 3 tests. We use discrete ballistics subsonic ammunition, just like in the 300 Blackout bolt action test you've seen in the pedigree from us for years. Is that apples to apples? Well, ammo-wise, it certainly is. Ammo-wise, it is. But wait, there's more. So, as always, you have the suppression rating, composite and muzzle and ear, okay? And you get that for all 3 configurations on the MCX in today's report. Why does that matter? Well, it's because the suppression rating is the only metric available that allows you to compare blast load severity across systems. Okay? You cannot do that with PeakDB. You can't do it with really anything else folks are using. The suppression rating is it. And one of the huge reasons is because it considers the whole dang signature in the calculation. So now you have semi-automatic 300 blackout data. So guess what you can do with it? Stick with me. What can you do with it? Oh, you're in luck. You can literally compare it to 556 AR data if you want. That's right. You can compare it to MP5 data if you want. That's right. Hell, compare it to the 22 data that we just talked about in the last topic. Why not, right? The suppression ratings are all on the same scale. We do not have multiple tables at Pew Science. We don't have multiple scales at Pew Science. One rankings table, one scale. Suppression rating. Use it. Your ears aren't changing, so why the hell would we change the scale? See, we don't have to change our scale because we did it right. See, you don't have to sort through different tables. No, it's one table. Rankings. pewscience.com/rankings. That's it. You don't have to make multiple. Okay? It's the whole point of the suppression rating, guys. I've said it for 5 years, and I think sometimes I say it again, and sometimes people say if you have to hear something 3 times to, I forgot. There's some rule of thumb. When you tell people stuff, you got to tell them a certain amount of times for them actually to hold on to it. It might be 3 times or something. I don't know. Hopefully you guys are getting it. All right? You cannot compute the suppression rating without proper data input. It's garbage in, garbage out. That's why we test in the free field. We get the entire combustion history. That is let me just real quick before we go on to the next subtopic. I really want to make sure you guys understand this because some people are new to silencers and they're going to be told things that are completely wrong, and they're going to be told to go look at data from other places, which is fine. It's a free country. You can go and look at data from wherever you want. But what I want to tell you is that one of the keys to the suppression rating is that the input to the calculations is the entire history of the event. And if you don't use that entire history, you're dead in the water for comparing everything together. And if you don't use an algorithm that considers everything in the entire history in multiple events, you're dead in the water. You can't use a running average and look at the peak. You can't look at just a peak transient. You can't look at just peak impulse either. You have to do complex analysis of the entire signature. You have to get the whole signature, and then and only then can you compare it side by side other silencers and side by side other silencers on other guns. And that's what the suppression rating enables you to do. The end. The end, dude. All right, cool. All right, now that I'm going to leave my soapbox for just 1 second, and then we're going to go to next subtopic. I'm talking about the cat-rat program. Cat-rat program at time of 1 hour. Oh, no, we're already past an hour. That's fine. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 26 seconds. Okay. All right, 1 second. Final push. This rat program, dude. This took a while, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you like it. I mean, the amount of testing and analysis that it took to get the cat rat to you as a consumer. Man, the amount of effort that the cat team put forth is pretty nuts. You know, the amount of effort that Pew Science put forth is ridiculous, and you're only seeing one rat variant today on one host weapon, dude. So today you're only going to get one rat variant in 3 of its configurations. There are other things that exist because people using these guns for work need things in certain ways. And Cat makes things that are system optimized. You've heard him say that. Definitely true. I want to tell you something right now. This is like just between, like, this is like me to you, okay? So I'm going to tell you something right now that I think is important. And you can take this or you can take it or leave it. You do not have to believe me. I don't care. Doesn't affect me. But I do feel like I've been doing this for you long enough for you to know I'm not BSing you, okay? The cat rat system that you as a consumer are getting performs extremely well. I have to be very careful with the words I use because if I'm not careful, I'm going to get accused of recommending something, right? Which I'm not doing. I'm not recommending anything. It's against Pew Science policy to do that. It's against my personal philosophy to do that. I'm not recommending anything. But let me just say, the cat rat you are getting does things that were selected because it does them so well. The level of compromise in this system is low. You can do things with this system that are interesting. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. That is my statement to you as not only the technical director of the lab and research cooperative, but also as a silencer user. Okay? Okay. So go check it out. I want to tell you so much right now, so much more, because the report is so big, but I have to hold off until the next episode so we can do it right. I'm not gonna break protocol just because I'm excited about a new test host. Okay, and I have the right to be excited because I invented this. Okay, this whole damn standard and this whole lab. So I get to be excited if you just let me have this. Okay. Let me be excited because I love silencers. Okay. I'm telling you, go read the report. I could talk about this all day because it's just such an extensive study. Just read it. So RAT, DMLS titanium. Here's the rundown. DMLS titanium, proprietary titanium alloy, 3 configurations, included AI Nano taper mounts. That's right. You get 2 mounts. You get the 90-degree shoulder AI Nano and the SIG 25-degree taper AI Nano. You can shoot supers or subs through the silencer. You shoot the crap out of it. Kill people in a house quietly with the covert. Train all day with the flow. Keep it in your glove box with the base. Okay. I think Kat told me, I asked him today, I said, hey, so how are you selling this anyway? So I can tell people on the website. And they said, 3 different packages. You can buy the covert plus the base. You can buy the flow plus the base, or you can buy a kit that has the covert, flow, and the base. And I don't know how much they cost. Not my department. You have to take it up with them. Okay. Yeah, go read it, dude. It's going to be live at 0700 or thereabouts, 0700 time, Central, U.S. Central Time on Wednesday. So that's tomorrow for me, today for you probably. Okay. So be good. Stay safe. I will talk with you folks again soon. 300 blackout is finally here, dude. Oh, dude, peep the suppression rate at the shooter's ear too. I didn't know what we were going to get. And it's like higher than I thought it was going to be. It's awesome. Yeah, dude, so exciting. All right, bye.